Hello everyone, Debbie D. David here, and it's me and Ruby, and with Wesley Henry at MARSCON, doing my first show late at night, 10:30 at night. I'm worn out from driving from Detroit, but it's a pretty interesting show. Watch it now.
Is it time? All right. Well, I don't think anybody's coming, except we have one fan here. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, a huge audience.
Yeah, I know. And I got all nervous all day today for this. Oh. And drove all the way from Detroit, and that's all right. You know, it's 10:30 at night, and I'm added attraction anyway. And this will give me a good chance to think about what I'm going to say tomorrow. Now, tomorrow I'm going to be on the big stage here at MARSCON, and I'm going to make it. Tonight's supposed to be about me being in Hollywood, and I was going to talk about more than just being on Star Trek, because I've been in more than just Star Trek for science fiction. I worked on Babylon 5, I worked on Stargate, the movie, I was in Waterworld. You can see me for one frame in Waterworld. And Dennis Hopper is my cousin and friend and mentor, acting teacher, and friend and confidant. Now, people have been following me on my YouTube channel, and it's Ruby and me are trying to grow our YouTube channel. And so I came here to MARSCON because I wanted to promote my YouTube channel. It's Debbie D. David on YouTube. You just search Debbie D. David. And the reason I'm promoting it now is because I'm trying to save my life. I've gotten into the whole big thing in Ferndale, where I live now, in Michigan. Now, back in Hollywood, 25 years ago, when I was working at Paramount, I worked on several shows there. I worked on Wings. I appeared as a UPS man a couple of times on Wings. And I was a passenger, you know, just basically a background extra. But a union extra gets to do cool shows like that, you know. And once I got established at Paramount, I'd be working on Wings, I'd work on JAG, I'd work on Cheers a lot. I really enjoyed working on Cheers. And so I became friends with an actor on Cheers. In fact, I got to, when I first became Debbie, in 1996, I transitioned from being Carl David, the actor, to Debbie David, the transgender activist and actor, and totally changed my whole life. I was married, I had 3 children. My wife is from Minneapolis. She grew up here anyway, and I first came to Minneapolis because of her, and then I got cast in a Star Trek Earth tour, and I came back, and that's how I met Wayne McLeod, and that's how I got to MARSCON the first time, and I was the first guest of honor at MARSCON, the very first MARSCON. Now, this vest I've got here is a gift from the producers of Star Trek The Next Generation. And it was given to us when we were filming the final episode, All Good Things. And if you look on the back here, it's got the Enterprise D and All Good Things stitched into it. And that was my main ship. But my character, Ensign Russell, that I play on this show, was on Enterprise B, C, and D, and now I guess E. So I don't know how many characters were on that many ships, and how was I on B, which is back for generations, you know. That's a story I want to tell in my autobiography, and if I can get it out. if I go back to Michigan and they don't Breonna Taylor me or George Floyd me, I've gotten in trouble there. And anyway, this jacket, this vest, I put pins on it over the years of things and appearances I have. And it's gotten so heavy I can't wear it anymore. I'm 67 years old now. This is a 30-year-old show. But all these pins mean a lot to me, and I'd like to show them to you and point out what it is. Now, this one here is a good one. It's from Voyager. It says cast and crew. And that's only for the cast and crew, and you know, I'm in the cast of Voyager. I also stood in for Robert Duncan McNeil. Now, stand-in, if you don't know, is the second team. We watch the rehearsals, we watch the stars walk through it. They kind of talk with the director and they plan out the shot. And then the stars go to their trailer or to makeup or wardrobe or whatever they need to do and get ready in their minds to do the scene. And they call them the second team, the stand-ins. And the stand-ins go in and we stand and they put marks on the floor where we're going to be ending up in our stands. We make crosses, they focus on us, they run a tape right to your nose, they hold a light meter up to your face, they say light before the guys up in the gaffers and the lighting guys flip on those lights, because you can feel that light when it hits you. It's really photonic energy, you know. And ironically, I got injured on a Star Trek movie, First Contact, by photonic energy. They hit me with a photon torpedo. It was a lighting, ultraviolet lighting array. And one day at lunch, Matt Leonetti, the cinematographer and lighting director, and the designer of this lighting array, and the designer of Matt Leonetti Lighting, his name right into the metal of the lighting instruments, asked me to stay in the BORG bed that they had. I was standing in for Brent Spiner. I'm his long-term stand-in. He had a few over the years, but I was probably from the third season to the end of the show, his stand-in. And it was the scene where the BORG Queen is going to put skin on Data. I don't know if you know the movie, but First Contact, the BORG Queen has seduced Data, she thinks. And anyway, Matt came to me and said that they were going into grace period with the crew, and if they filmed any longer, they were going to have meal penalties that they didn't want to have. Would I mind staying in this BORG bed through lunch? Because if they moved it, they'd have to refocus the cameras. That didn't make any sense to me, but I said, all right, you know, I'm kind of tired. They said, we'll bring you some lunch here. And I said, nah, it's all right, I'll just take a nap. I fell asleep under this lighting array. It was a UV 5,000 watt light source, 10 feet away from me. You couldn't feel heat of it, but it was ultraviolet light. And I fell asleep for an hour and didn't move. And then they came back from lunch, and I rode my bike home that night. I always rode my bike to Paramount. It was a few miles, but I was on a special program. If you didn't bring a car on the parking lot or to the employee parking lot, and you rode your bike to work or you used public transport, you were a member of the special club, and you got all these discounts at the company store, and you had a half price at the commissary. So I always, they gave you a meal ticket for all us background and extra actors every day for lunch. And at Paramount, they'd give you a coupon. And it said, you know, Star Trek, had a Star Trek logo on it. And you took it to the roach coaches that would go around the lot at lunchtime, and you could get $5 worth of food, which was a lunch back then, in those days, in the 80s. And on the road coach, because I always, because I was on this program, I always went to the commissary and got a half-price lunch. And I wore my Star Trek uniform, and it was like old-time Hollywood. And executives, and they're like Mr. Lyles, Mr. Paramount, AC Lyles, he would come up to me and say, "Oh, I love it when the actors come in and they're at the commissary. It's like the old days and everything." And you know, other stars like when Sid El Fadil came onto DS9. He saw me there at the commissary. He came over and asked me about being on the show. He had just gotten cast. He wanted to know how I act. And I told him everything that they had taught us about how on the ship you're a little bit less gravity than Earth. So you should walk up all the time, and like you're a little lighter than you would be on the Earth. And then no saluting, because they no saluting, no shaking hands, things like that. There was all these little things orientation they gave us when I was first made an ensign on the show. That was how I started out. I ended up doing Klingon, Romulan, Vulcan, Alorian, BORG. Oh, BORG was very uncomfortable. I know I'm rambling, but I got so much in my head. So much going on. There's one button on here I should point out before I forget about it that Brent Spiner really loved. I wore this jacket and didn't have so many buttons and everything on it. Every one of these means something. It's from a production or something that happened to me through Star Trek. It's Olympic. And I appear in Rocketeer. I stood in for Timothy Dalton on Rocketeer. And in fact, there's one scene in Rocketeer where it's actually me, my shoulder and my arm, because Timothy and Dalton and Paul Sorvino, who I worked with on Star Trek too, but anyway, they hated each other on Rocketeer so much that they wouldn't do this scene together. So they had me come in and be Timothy Dalton's shoulder while they were looking at Paul Sorvino in the scene, and then opposite. So I had to go in the trailer of Timothy Dalton and change clothes with him. Right, so that is one James Bond that I had to change clothes with out of 3 that I've been with. I worked with Sean Connery on Rising Sun. I play Senator Morton's aide in Rising Sun with Ray Wise, who I also worked with on the Enterprise C. And all these stories and these things that I want to get out on my YouTube channel are all true stories. But when I tell these stories where I'm living now, they think I'm a crazy person. They think I'm making it all up. I'm not. It's all true. You know, it's like Sean Connery, man, on Rising Sun, he came out of the trailer one day. I'd been working on this movie, Rising Sun, for maybe a week, and they had the craft service for us union extras inside this little picket fence. Now, on a big movie like that, a big star, they'll have their trailers right up next to the soundstage. But on Rising Sun, Sean Connery had his trailer inside the soundstage with a white picket fence around it and AstroTurf lawn to barricade his area from the rest of the sets for Rising Sun that were in this 20th century huge soundstage. So, but they had the union craft service inside that little picket fence. So I go inside the little fence to get some coffee one morning, and Sean Connery busts open the trailer and comes out down the steps of his trailer and out there, and he looks at me and I look at him, and he goes over to the craft service table. I see him take out a bagel. He slices it, and then he puts cream cheese around it like a baker would decorate a cake. He did it very artistically all the way around on both of them, on two different little plates. Then he took this raspberry jelly and he drizzled it over there. And then he turns to me and he goes, "Carl, would you like to share this bagel with me?" And I go, "James Bond just said my name." I couldn't believe that he even knew my name, that he had taken it in like that, and then he wanted to share that with me. I ate that bagel so slowly, I thought about the grain that went into it, went in the grill, because Sean Connery had given it to me, you know, James Bond. And then my third James Bond story I'm going to tell you here, in my rambling prose here, is Pierce Brosnan. I have an experience with him. This is before I be presented as Debbie, but Debbie was always in my head ever since I was a little kid. I didn't know that you transgender, I never heard the word transgender or anything. I thought I was fighting being gay or something, and I never really felt gay or anything, but I always had this girl in my head, you know, that I just kept to myself, always, my whole life. And then I'm working on this movie, and I'm working special effects and as a puppeteer on this movie called Livewire with Pierce Brosnan. And we created this robot, Madonna, the special effects company, Flix Effects, that I work for too. And I was a puppeteer on the movie. I do this mechanical arm scene with the villain in the scene. So I'm only an actor through a device, but I'm still considered an actor on the movie for my pay scale, and I get a credit, you know, as a puppeteer. And anyway, they had this scene where Pierce Brosnan in a flashback jumps into a swimming pool because his daughter is drowned and she's on the bottom of the pool. So the child who played his daughter in the movie, she had come out to our studio about a month before the filming of the movie. And she had, we had cast her face and everything, and we had made an exact dummy of this little girl, and we had made it out of material that was foam-like and everything, but we had made it so dense that it wouldn't float. And we dressed her in the same, you know, wardrobe that she was wearing in the movie, and we were going to place her on the bottom of the pool, this dummy, and Pierce Brosnan going to jump in to try to save her in the movie. Well, the thing would lay on the bottom, but any motion would start it to rise up. And to solve this problem, they wanted someone in the pool as he jumped in to hold the little dummy of the girl still, and then pull your arm out of the way, and they would film Pierce Brosnan going in to where the dummy is. And they needed that to happen. So they wanted one of our crew to do that, and I had a swimming pool in those days, and I was real good with pools and everything. And they, you know, my boss said, "Can you do that?" And I said, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll do that." And so they sent me to wardrobe, and to get a swimsuit. I go over to wardrobe, and they said, "We don't have any swimsuits. The only one we have is a woman's bathing suit. And we really hate to ask you to do that, but we have to film and the lights changing and everything. Would you mind doing this?" And yet, no, it's going to be embarrassing. Inside my head, I was like thrilled. I'm going to be in a swimming pool in a women's bathing suit with Pierce Brosnan. It's James Bond, you know. So I did that. So that's 3 James Bonds that I have an experience with. And my husband, who was probably just calling, right? Is the biggest James Bond fan in the world. And I met him at MARSCON, at the very first MARSCON. Yeah, the very first MARSCON, I met him here. And he can't be with me tonight because they've taken him away from me. They've taken guardianship of my husband away. and they've taken over conservatorship of our money, and that's why he's not here. This RFK button is from the night that the Robert Kennedy Foundation had the 25th anniversary of the original series. And I was there for the filming of it, the banquet, the event. And it was a great show. I think I got to talk to, his name went out of my head, Kenny, Kenny played the tenor sax. I don't know. Anyway, and all the stars were there. William Shatner. I got a lot of William Shatner stories. He owns a farm in Kentucky. My father's a John Deere dealer in Kentucky. I grew up in Kentucky. I had a lot of trouble about being from Kentucky that happened on Star Trek too. Yeah, they found out I was from Kentucky. It didn't go over there well. This button here that I was starting to talk about, Brent always got a kick out of it. It says fully functional. And Data was supposed to be fully functional because with Tasha Yar, they'd go through a nebula or something and they get real sexual and with each other and get together. And she asked him if he, and he goes, I'm schooled or something in several forms of human pleasuring and I am fully functional. And she said, that's all I wanted to know. And so Brent really liked that button. I got that at the company store. Now, I've never seen another one though. And one day Brent pulled Patrick Stewart over there to and showed him that button. I wore that on the set a lot. But it's gotten too heavy to wear. This was RuPaul DragCon when I worked with RuPaul. I invented the word Dragopolis. Yeah. And she's using that for a game. But I have Dragopolis.org, Dragopolis.net, Dragopolis.com, and Dragopolis.tv. That's my TV station now. Hi, Ben.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
We didn't have a big crowd, but I got one good fan here. I'm kind of trying to entertain him. Anyway, I carry this around in my vest pocket here for years. It's 2 cards that I'm on. It's the making of Star Trek. This one is main engineering, it says. Oh, no, this is a regular Star Trek collector card, Star Trek The Next Generation card. It's just main engineering. And it's a scene from Half a Life with David Ogden Stiers. And there's Ensign Russell in the background of the card. So I'm on this card. And that filming of that, David Ogden Stiers, what a kind man and what a great actor. I didn't realize that, you know, watching him on MASH, I didn't really like the character because he played an uppity kind of guy, you know. And, you know, people make the mistake that actors are like the characters they play, and they're not. People used to get scared when I'd be with Dennis Hopper all the time. After Blue Velvet, you know, this girl we were in a restaurant one night, oh, Frank Booth, you know, and stuff like that. But, you know, Dennis is so kind. Part of my problem that I had with the police was I told them I was Superman, right? And in my videos, I make fun of this bit by saying, yeah, I am Superman, you know? But I'm not Superman. I know I'm not Superman. But they thought I was crazy enough to think that I was Superman. And no, if you shoot me, I'll die. I'm not Superman. But then I'm wearing this Popeye shirt because now I have to be Popeye. I'm got to be strong to the finish. I got to eat my spinach. And I am what I am. And that's all that I am. I'm Debbie D. David 100% now. I can't turn back the clock. I can't go back. I can't, you know, I can't be who I was. No matter, I've lost my family, I lost everything over this. And now I'm just trying to live a life. I'm just trying to you know, survive like everybody else. COVID's given me the chance, or the courage maybe, to speak out. I hid for years. I know my family is ashamed of it. I was with a black man in Detroit. I'm gay or whatever, you know, and the hometown, you know, doesn't like it. And I understand that. I'm from there. This card is called Standing In. It's got me standing in with my friends. My fellow stand-ins, Dennis Tracy, who stood in for Patrick Stewart for years on Star Trek, and Richard Sarset. And so Richard Sarset stood in for Riker, and he's a great guy and very classy man, and so talented. And also Eden Kane, the rock star from England, who was bigger than the Beatles when skiffle music was big in England. It was a form of like folk music. It was almost rock. And that's how he and his brothers, they had several hits. And he still performs now on cruise ships and things like that. On the back of this stand-in card, you would see me again, but lighting director is holding up a light meter for a part in front of my face, and then the script supervisor, Cosmo Genovese, who I have a lot of stories about too, is holding up the script in front of my face, but that's my head right there on that card. This card here is from a game, Star Trek game, and I'm one of the BORG in it. So those are the cards I got on. And I used to carry around in this vest that I can't wear anymore. It's too heavy for me. It's too much responsibility. Now, people, I was just a minor character, but I'm a named character in the canon of Star Trek. I'm Ensign Russell, and I gave that to myself. We were filming the scene. LeVar Burton says to me in a scene, you just see me through the curved glass of the engineering room. He says, Russell, do something. And I look up, and I do it in the scene, and I thought, he just called me a name, you know? So then we go to film the next scene. And in the next scene, in the script, he refers to Russell again. Now, they gave us scripts, the stand-in scripts. So I knew the script a little bit, and I go, wow, he just referred to me as Russell. I'm Russell now. So Arlene Fukai comes up to me and says, hey, Carl, we're going to film the scene next, and you're going to be close up in this, and he's going to refer to you, but you look a little bit shiny. Why don't you go and makeup and just have them put a little powder on your face so you're not so shiny. I said, yeah, all right. I go out there to the trailer and they go, well, you're an extra. We only do the stars. You go to the extra trailer, and there's nobody at the extra trailer now. So I go back to Arlene. I said, nah, they didn't want to do anything like that. She goes, no, I'll call over there. You go back. So I go back, they put a little powder on my face, and by the time I get back, the director is so mad that he has taken another guy who was much greasier and shinier looking than I was. You can see that in the scene. And they put him in the place where I would be, right next to it, and they're going to hand isolated chips to each other, and he's going to call him Russell. And I'm like, a little bit crestfallen, but I figure, well, that's the breaks, right? We go to film, and they call the speed, sound, rolling, sound speed, background action, action. And I yell, cut! And the air goes out of the room. All the air and the universe goes out of the room for a moment. And the director turns and goes, who said cut? Who would say cut? I'm the director. And I said, I did. And I look at LeVar Burton, and LeVar Burton is looking at me like, I'm looking at a dead human being. And he takes pity on me. And he goes, you know, you're right, you are Russell. You are Ensign Russell. And here's what we'll do. We'll film the scene as we've got it blocked, but when I say Russell, I'll point at you. And that's what happened. That's what he did. That made me Ensign Russell. And it changed my life because, you know, I'm a named character in Star Trek. And they can't ever take that away from me, even though they try. I'm Ensign Russell. And later I became Lieutenant Russell. They put me in a red uniform because Robert Duncan McNeil was in a red uniform. They wanted me to stand in for Robbie, and I wanted to do it at that point, so I stood in for Robert Duncan McNeil as Paris. And, you know, to be a stand-in, they wanted me in the same color uniform so they can use my shoulder while he goes touch up or something, whatever he needs to do. And same thing with Brent and the guest stars that I stood in for. Sometimes, and they don't have the stars do what they call insert shots. So, I mean, if it's a phaser being drawn, then a lot of times that's just my hand drawing a phaser that you see, you know. So, you know, I've been the character in a small way. I remember working on a movie with Jada Pinkett, Tales from the Crypt, the movie. Billy Zane was the bad guy in that movie, and that's another story I'd like to tell someday. This is the thing, they're going to put me away and evict me out of the apartment, they're going to steal all my artwork, they've taken my money away already. I'm going back to what I don't know what I'm going back to. I'm taking a big risk speaking out like this, but I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do. I want to tell my story. I wrote an autobiography and it got put in the garbage by my family, I guess. I don't know, that's what I heard. All my stuff from California, my artwork, my photographs, everything, my videos, supposedly were thrown away. I don't know. I don't know. What time is it?
11:03.
11:03? Well, I did my hour, right? I don't want to bore you guys. I'm sorry if I caused a problem to people back in Michigan or not. I need...
You have the room until tomorrow all morning, so if you want to run a longer...
Yeah, but, you know, thank you for coming. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Do subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's just go to YouTube. It's WD David. Me and Ruby. You can see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Do all the best.
All right. Wes.
If anything, you've shown people that just because you're in Hollywood doesn't mean you're not a person who has no problems. Everybody likes to think that all of these stars are up on these pillars and they're all untouchable gods, but it's like we're all born of woman. You know, it's like we all start out simple. We all have humble origins somewhere. Most, anyway, except, you know.
I'm just trying to live, you know. Trying to live. You're on live at MARSCON.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, why?
How are things going so far?
Well, the audience was unanimous. They stood up at the end of the show, and they had a good time. The only people in the room right now are Wesley Henry, Ben Jose, who is head of this thing, and Ruby and me now. The audience has left. How are you doing, Anthony?
I'm fine, just fine.
I told the story of us and how we met today at the Wayne McLeod Memorial. I got kind of emotional talking about you, and I realized I shouldn't be talking about you and me. I should be talking about Wayne. But I was talking about Wayne the whole time, because if it wasn't for Wayne, I wouldn't be here at all. And if it wasn't for Wayne letting me live with him when he did, I might not be alive right now. So anyway, I did talk about you, and everybody here loves you, Anthony, and wishes that we were back together, you know?
Well, so do I. So do I.
Well, I'm glad to hear it, honey.
Can we go on FaceTime?
Can we go on FaceTime?
Yes.
I'll try, yeah. I'm on FaceTime.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey.
Lovely room.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I got all the presents and stuff I was going to give out to people, but there's only one guy here tonight. We didn't have an audience. Are you okay?
Not really. You know, because I'm wondering what Patty Dudek's going to say to me next week about the car and about my credit card, you know?
I don't know, honey. I can't make her. I don't know.
I don't know what she calls herself doing. Because they kept asking me, what happened to your Social Security checks? Did Debbie get them or did she cash them? And I said, she couldn't cash them without my endorsement, you know?
Right. No, I don't get your Social Security checks. They're making that up. I don't get them.
Yeah, that's why I know.
Yeah.
And see, like I said, all I'm doing is going to mass, going to treatment, and that's it, you know?
Yeah.
And hanging around here. This evening we had a happy hour with wine and beer. But what kind of ticks me off is that, you know, Father Charles, he said, I'm going to talk to her about your account. We still got to look into, investigate, get paperwork from the credit union regarding those 2 loans outstanding, you know? I said, well, what about Cynthia Knox? You haven't paid her back yet, you know? I said, the only person you paid is yourself, you know?
I know.
And now he's claiming we still owe him money.
And I haven't got my teeth fixed either.
Right. So I looked at those websites that Wesley Henry sent me, and I've decided that if at the end a week from today, I'm going to file a complaint against Patty Dudek.
Well, I don't know, honey. I don't know what to do. I don't know.
So tell me,
What?
did you spell anything?
I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just trying to get people to subscribe to my TV channel.
Don't you need gas money to get home?
Yeah. I sold one thing today for $21 is, you know, probably worth a lot more if it was sold in the right way. But what's worth what anymore? I mean, with COVID, artwork is, you know, what is it? It's a piece of paper, right?
Yeah.
Compared to your life,
Right.
being able to be with family and stuff. Wow. 11/11. Yeah, thank you, Wesley. I like that. Well, honey, listen, we're going to go to the room parties. Wesley's going to go home, and he's going to come back tomorrow. I got a show tomorrow. I love you.
I love you too, and I hope we can get back together.
All right, we'll work on it.
All right, talk to you later.
All right, bye. Hello, Debbie D. David here, and I hope you enjoyed the video about my first show at MARSCON. And I'm on the phone here with Miss Ruby herself. Hi, honey.
Hi.
Yeah, and she's up in Flint because Father Charles and Sadira Bro and Miss Patricia Kefalos Dudek, their hired gun lawyer, she has scared me and Ruby to the point where Ruby has moved back with her family, and she's living up in Flint with a cousin or something.
And now we're going to try to get back together. Ruby's going to get her own place and come back down, right, honey?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, listen, you didn't have a good time at Starbase Indy, and you got a bad opinion about my friend Tracy Coco and everything.
Yeah,
and
she seems fake and stuff.
No, she was told that we were a trouble, and they didn't want to, the convention people didn't want you and me there, and so they told Tracy, you know, that we couldn't be there. So it wasn't Tracy's fault. And now we go to MARSCON, and Michael Moore, same thing. He was told not to talk to us, and but we told everybody at MARSCON what was going on, and everybody's great to us at MARSCON. And now we're trying to get to Las Vegas this weekend for the 56 mission Star Trek convention, right, honey?
Yeah, and how come people get so much clout from being ordained?
Honey, don't go into that, honey. I'm talking about. Listen, you're in the shuttlecraft Dennis Hopper, but you're lost in space right now, huh? I don't know where you are, and you've got the
I'm at a remote space station, actually.
All right, honey, but
hopefully the Dennis Hopper is supposed to be delivered to you by another starship.
All right. You got the Picard timeline communicator, right? And it's safe. Yes?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, more later. If you follow along on this very channel, we'll be, at least Ensign Russell is going to try to be at 56 mission Star Trek Las Vegas convention. More later. And here is a love letter I did to my girl Ruby here at Detroit Axe and the Corner Restaurant here in Ferndale, Michigan. Enjoy.
David, come on up, honey. We got Anthony on deck. Hopefully Mike after that. Be ready to go, guys. We're almost done.
Yes, this is a good song. And my husband and I are traveling to Las Vegas in August. But this goes out to my girlfriend, Ruby.